Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome into the Big Friday Kickoff Podcast. I'm Emily Cochran. He's Robert Restagno. Another week on the pod. We're still navigating this, post-football season era that we've been going through, but we kind of got to take a step back into the football season last night because we had our annual 2025-2026 Player of the Year Banquet. Robert, thanks so much for gracing us with your presence, being back here with us. You've had some time off.
I have, yeah.
And this is his first day back. So tell me first, how was your time off and what did you do?
Time off was great. Didn't do anything super exciting. But hold on, you're kind of jumping the gun here, all right? A couple things to mention. One, we appreciate all the feedback on our all-region teams. It really seemed like everyone in the community, all the schools really just embraced it, loved it. We saw our graphics being shared everywhere on social media, so that was very, very cool, and we thank you all for it. Gotten some feedback on some stuff, which is just really cool. Like, we cannot tell you how much we appreciate you engaging with our stuff. But as Emily said, I've had some time off. But someone had a birthday this past weekend. So how was your birthday? Did you do anything exciting?
Just went to dinner with some friends and my boyfriend and spent time with family. It was very nice, kind of low key. 29, so it's really not like a big, like, earth-shattering birthday or anything like that. But I definitely feel it. I'm kind of crippled right now. Got something going on with my foot, so I'm limping around the station.
Got something going on with my foot. Sounds pretty.
I don't know what's going on. It's swollen and inflamed. So I feel 29 more than ever. It literally, it started hurting right before. So I can't even imagine what 30 is going to feel like if this is, just a preview of what's to come.
Yes.
So. But it's Senior Bowl week. I mean, it's banquet week. I mean, we've had stuff going on with the region teams. It's just the busiest time of year. So my birthday is that's the least important thing compared to everything that we've had going on. We've also had the announcement on Friday of reclassification and the split between public and private schools. It has been absolute chaos. So while you've been off enjoying your, some of your vacation stuff, that's what's been popping off here at the station. So we got a lot to get into this episode.
Yeah, and we're going to do, I think we'll briefly do some reclassification stuff this week because as Emily mentioned, it's Senior Bowl week. You've got practices and all kinds of stuff to get to. We're kind of on a little bit of a time crunch this week. I think next week we'll get more into the politics of the reclassification and sort of how we got here. But we will just kind of be running through the new regions and seeing who moved where and whatnot. But, as you mentioned, first and foremost, we had a special event last night.
Yeah, we did. We had our annual Richest Car Wash Player of the Year Banquet. Me and Nick emceed it. It really was just a great night. Probably one of the best turnouts we've ever had at Moe's Barbecue downtown. We had, we recognized 15 players this year. That's more than we've ever been able to recognize. I've kind of been pushing a little harder to go farther in the season to recognize more kids, and I think it absolutely paid off. I think, some of the top talent in our area was recognized last night. We had, I want to say we had 10 players that were able to be there. There were a couple that couldn't be because it is right now basketball season going on. So and it was senior night, I know, for St. Michael. So Gunnar was unable to be there. So I know he's only a junior, but a big night for him. And I think NC State's head football coach was actually at the game last night.
Oh, was
for
he?
St. Michael. So so I know that was something Gunnar couldn't miss. Absolutely. And then obviously EJ Crowell is already at Alabama, participating in practices. Landon Duckworth is already at South Carolina participating in practices. And then Juju Bonner was unable to be there as well. So I just quickly want to name off the kids that we recognize. Juju Bonner from Spanish Fort, Kendrick Abel from Theodore, Jamison Roberts from Saraland, Sammy Dunn from Viger, Davis Barnett from Bayside Academy, Christian Seeger from Daphne, Gunnar Rivers from St. Michael, EJ Crowell from Jackson, Trey Garner from Fairhope, Tate Graham from Baker, Shamar Tootle from Cottage Hill Christian, Noah Moss, St. Michael, Jay Sellers from Leroy, Brennan Yamani from Bayside Academy, and then, of course, Landon Duckworth from Jackson. So majority of those kids were at our banquet last night. We had a great turnout, coaches and families, and I know that it's such a busy time of year, so I really appreciate them taking the time to come out and celebrate with us. And then, of course, our player of the year is St. Michael's senior running back, Noah Moss. I know this was probably one of the most and every year it's like this. I say this every year. It's a very, very hard decision when we get down to it because you have so much talent in this room. And there's a reason they won every week, all of these guys. So to kind of break it all down and ultimately pick one guy, it's a difficult decision, but I feel really good about who we picked with Noah. Just a great kid, great player on the field, off the field. I think that he's going to have a ton of success at NC State. So I'm really happy with our choice, and congratulations to Noah. And his family was there and able to share in that experience. Completely just very kind, humble kid, and also extremely talented.
Yes.
So last night was just a great night. A lot of our FOX10 team was there as well.
Yep.
Kind of got to talk about some of our folks that are behind the scenes, and that was really nice. So yeah, it was a good night all around, I'd say.
And it was nice talking to some parents, right?
Yeah.
You know, I want to give a shout out to the Yamani family. Mr. and Mrs. Yamani seemed like a trip. It was nice to meet them and thank them for listening to our podcast, and got to meet Kendrick Abel Sr., you know, and Jr. Came up. Were very, very nice. I wish I could have talked to him a little bit longer. But, it was just really cool getting to meet some of these parents. And I think I speak for me and Emily when I say, like, you know, you all listening and engaging with our stuff means just as much to us as our coverage means to you all. You know what I mean? So we really just appreciate, you know, all you all like listening and following along with us, you know?
Yeah, I mean, y'all are the whole reason why we do what we do. And we're so fortunate to be in an area that has so much talent. And the opportunity to get to cover you guys each and every week, and then obviously get together and get to celebrate those guys last night. I mean, I think it's just such a good representation of the talent that we have in this area. And I know it's also cool for you because they also get to put a face to a name and actually get to see you.
Yeah.
So that's really special. I'm glad that you got to be there and they got to see you in person. Not just through,
I was about to say.
Not just through, the airwaves and whatever if you watch this on the website or on YouTube, however you engage with the podcast. I know it's cool to get to see me out in the field a lot, but you don't get to see Robert. So I think that was really cool. A good opportunity for you to get to engage with some of our viewers, listeners.
Yeah, no doubt. As you mentioned, Noah Moss, our player of the year, very, very well deserved. And so, should we move on to reclassification now, I guess?
I think that's a good place to start because, I mean, a lot of these kids are, we've covered them this season the way that we've covered them. And then when you reclassify, a lot of these kids are private school kids, and there's now a separation between private and public. And there had been rumors for a while that this was coming.
Yep.
I didn't think that it was going to happen this year. Mm-hmm. I just think that it's very quick. I think it's also kind of hard to understand. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of reasons why, and then a lot of coach response to why not. I know that one of the people that voted, this was a 13-2 vote on Friday, and then the information came out. And one of the people that voted against it is obviously coaching legend, UMS Wright, former head coach Terry Curtis. He was against the separation of public and private.
And also just worth mentioning, the other person to vote against it is from our area as well, Jerome Woods.
Yes, from Blunt. So, people down here obviously do not love this. I've also heard some other private school coaches and public school coaches' reaction. Mm-hmm. And I just think it's a really difficult time to try and navigate with high school football, with the way everything's gone the last 2 years. And, I mean, I know they've said that they want to do what's best for these high school kids. And me looking at it, and this is strictly opinion-based, and I'm no expert, so really what do I know? But, I mean, we're going to talk about these regions and who's playing in what region and kind of how this fell. And, I mean, I have some opinions on it. I don't know if this was maybe the right answer right now.
Yeah, and like we mentioned at the top, I think we'll get more into the politics next week. The private schools are meeting with the HSA this week to try and figure out their playoff structure and sort of what's going on. But I think based on most of the reporting I've seen, this was kind of done without consulting with the private schools more in advance. I think a lot of people said, consider this on the next classification cycle, not this one, because classification cycle run for 2-year periods.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of a rock and a hard place because I think one of the things that makes the state of Alabama special is high school football
100%.
and high school athletics, you know, and the blend of private and public and city and county schools all being able to play and compete in the same for the same state championship. Mm-hmm. I don't like that now there's going to be separate state championships for private schools. I think you've got a lot of enrollment issues. You know, Glenwood School is in the same region as McGill-Toole, and Glenwood has 191 students. McGill has almost 500. You know, and it's also a 4-hour drive for Glenwood. I mean, that school is almost in Columbus. So
I just don't understand how this is a more even playing field. I don't understand how this is fair.
Yeah, it's not.
I don't understand the reasoning. I personally don't get it, but I didn't go to a private school. I wasn't in that world. I went to a public school. I guess county school, because I've also learned like there's a big difference between like city schools, and that's one thing I've learned through this. I guess I was just a little oblivious to it, because obviously Saraland is a city school, Gulf Shores is a city school. Orange Beach is a city school, and then you've got all, you know, your schools down here in Mobile that are all in the same Mobile County public school system, and then Baldwin County public school system, and then you've got your private school. It's just, I mean, we're a melting pot of all these different schools, and the more you separate it, I don't like that. I don't think it makes for better competition.
And it feels like we're going into a tough place, because it's kind of either, you know, you either want the HSAA to just kind of go away, and, you know, we all complain about the HSAA all the time and how we disagree with the way it's run, and it's, you know, whatever, but it seems like the alternative is state-run athletics, which I don't even know. That's not a better choice either.
I'm sorry, but when you every time I'm on the roads, I wonder, like, okay, who's in charge of the construction on these roads?
Yeah.
Okay, the government. I'm also wondering, okay, well, every time I go to the DMV, it takes me it takes hours to get a new ID. Anytime mail, the United States Postal Service is a debacle. So, like, for me, I'm a political science major. Like, I've always loved politics, but I don't want my politics mixed with my sports. Whenever you want to go watch a football game, I want to go enjoy some nachos and watch a good game and celebrate these athletes. I don't want to think about the politics of it all, and that's just kind of the reality of where we are right now. Like, it is mixing, and it makes things complicated, and we're in a very different time and landscape when it comes to high school athletics. So and also, just real quick before we run through these regions, you know, the HSA seems adamant about making the point that, like, private and public schools can still play each other, and it's like, well, that's not the point. The point is, like, can we get, you know, what's a good example? Can we get McGill-Tulane in the 6A or back in the day, the 7A state championship against Hoover? You know what I mean? That's the point, is, like, can we get these private schools, you know, a UMS going up against whoever the public school power is up north? You know what I mean? That's the point, is that each classification ultimately boils down to the best team from the South and the best team from the North. And the best team may be a private school. It may be a public school, you know? And it feels like you're kind of watering down the competition.
Yeah,
and if it's me, and, like, I'm thinking about, okay, I want my kid to have the best opportunity to go against the best competition, to also move on and play at the next level. Because when to me, this separation and what it looks like is your kid getting the opportunity to compete against the best competition, to then move on and play at a school like Alabama, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Oregon. Like, that's what we're talking about here.
Yes.
This area is known for having some of the best talent in the country, and a lot of it has been because they've also gotten the opportunity to play against the best talent in the country.
Yep.
And when you're separating like this, it's some of these programs, you're not getting to play against some of the best talent in the country.
No.
There is some, don't get me wrong, there's a cluster of really good schools, but then you have some of these other schools that are they might never win a game again with the way that these regions have broken down. And it's also another thing is like, I'm concerned about injuries. I'm concerned about you're going to have a kid that's probably never played a football game a day in his life going head to head with a McGill Tulane or a St. Paul's type team, which is, pretty much powerhouses when it comes to, at that time, 6A football.
Yep.
And for example, you've got a team like Faith Academy that it's just you're playing against a different level of kids. And I'm concerned about injuries. I'm concerned about what this will look like long term. And I think the best thing that we have is the fact that in 2 years this will have to come up for conversation again.
Yeah, and I mean, just based on the feedback, again though, this is the problem. It's like we can say like nobody wants this, nobody wants this, nobody wants this. This has been part of the HSA's problem is they don't seem to listen to any of that. So I don't even know if like all of this complaining will ultimately matter to the AHSAA at the end of the day, even though it should. I don't know if
all these private schools decided to separate and either do their own thing or go join the AISA, I mean, like, at the end of the day, someone has to put their foot down and do something. There has to be checks and balances. Yep. And to me, the AHSAA doesn't have anyone checking them. There is no balance. Yeah. And I mean, I think the same thing about the NCAA. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just who is checking them? You know what I mean? And these schools and these coaches and these programs have to decide, like, okay, are you going to check them? Do you not like this? Who's going to be the one that stands up and speaks up? And then if you are the other side of it, that like, okay, this is what you like, this is what you want, even though I haven't heard a ton of that, I think there needs to be more discussion.
Ultimately, the schools, much like the NCAA, the schools give the organization its power.
Yeah.
And I don't know what, private schools going to AISA, I think is a major step in taking some of that power away from the AHSAA. But clearly, the AHSA does not mind nudging them in that direction because that's kind of what this split does, I
just don't understand. How does the AHSAA win here? That's the thing. I'm confused, and I need to do further research. And I would like
keeps them out of some litigation. I mean, we'll talk more about this next week, but a lot of this has to do with the Choose Act and the state suing the HSAA and the competitive multiplier that comes with private schools and financial aid that some students can receive, which, depending on how you look at it, I think a lot of people view as sort of discriminatory on the HSA's part, and I think there's some merit to that. But we'll get more into that next week. Like we said, the private schools are meeting with the HSA this week.
Yeah.
We'll know more after Friday.
We want to see how that goes before we really take a deep dive into this. There's still a lot we don't understand. There's still a lot we don't know. I know a lot of these coaches haven't even been able to make a schedule yet.
Right.
And it's hard and it's complicated, and there's a lot of nitty-gritty details to it, and I still don't know everything. I can't speak everything on it. I might be making an uneducated opinion in a lot of the way I feel, so there's still more I need to study, still more I need to know. I'm not a big fan of the whole, I'm not into the whole legal of it all. There's a reason that I got away from the political science degree and went into sports journalism. I mean, this is not the fun part of the whole, doing what we do, but I think that we should talk about what schools. I mainly want to focus first on the private schools.
Yes, I do too.
So let's talk about. So they have split it into single A and double A. Do you want to start with single A first or double A? You tell me.
Only because I have my double A notes pulled up and I've got just like a couple quick nuggets on it. Let's start with double A.
Okay, so let's start with double A. So I've looked at this, and the biggest thing to me is the travel and how far apart some of these schools are. I mean, we've got a school up in Columbus, basically on the Georgia line. Glenwood's going to be up there. We got a school in Montgomery,
which I believe is Montgomery Catholic.
Yes, Montgomery Catholic Preparatory School. Then we've also, we've got our little cluster down here, and then we got a team up in Dothan, Houston Academy.
Yep.
So my biggest concern with this, and Robert, do you want to just read the list of schools really fast?
Yeah. So you've got Faith Academy, Glenwood School, Houston Academy, McGill-Tulane, Montgomery Catholic, St. Michael, St. Paul's, and UMS.
I don't. If sitting here looking at it and just looking, McGill, St. Michael, St. Paul's, and UMS. That's a difficult schedule.
McGill, UMS, and St. Paul's are all on the same road.
Yeah, like, and then but when they have to go travel, obviously it'll be either they play here this year and whatever next year. However, they decide to make the schedule. Some of these, the distance between these two schools is like 4 hours.
You're missing a day of school for a region game.
Yeah, and so you're having to get up, and some of these private schools, I just learned this recently, don't really have some of the same travel accommodations that public schools have, and I only know a little bit. I don't know a ton, but so trying to get all of these kids on a bus and get them to somewhere, and then parents having to travel and then missing a whole day of school. I mean, if you're kicking off at 7, 4 hours away, you've got to get there. You've got to eat on the way.
Yep.
Kids are going to have to stop and, walk around, use the restroom. I mean, this is a full day of travel to go play a football game. Game kicks off at 7, doesn't get over till around 10 if you're lucky. And then when the game gets over, by the time you get on the road and get home, some of these kids are not going to be getting home till 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
These are high school kids. I just don't. They're missing a whole day of school. And the thing is like we've all talked about, like, oh, it's not all about sports. It's about education. You're taking away just like some of these kids will miss multiple Fridays of being in class and being study and being in school. What if they have a test on Friday?
Yep.
It's something that they have to make up. And obviously you can pre-plan and you can prepare for some of these things, but like that's a whole day you're not in school.
And also, like we mentioned also, some of the enrollment and school sizes don't necessarily match up. I wrote down Glenwood School, which we're not familiar with. I mean, they're just not from our area. Apparently has 191 students enrolled. McGill-Tulane has 483. Here is the regions each team belonged in last year. Faith Academy 5A team. Mm-hmm. Glenwood was a 3A team. Houston Academy was a 3A team. McGill was a 6A team. Montgomery Catholic was a 5A team. St. Michael was 4A. St. Paul's was 6A. UMS was 5A. That is a wide range of school sizes from last year. I mean, that goes from 3A to 6A. You cannot tell me a 3A team needs to be in the same region as a 6A team. And the other thing, too, about this that I again, we'll know more about after the private schools meet, but there are 16 total teams in this classification. Are half of them going to go to the playoffs and only have to win 3 games for a state championship?
Yeah, how is the playoff actually gonna work? And I guess I probably need to dive more into it, but
I think that's part of what they're meeting about this week.
To me, I just looking at it, I don't understand how it couldn't be McGill, St. Michael, St. Paul's, and UMS. Like if you're doing the top 4, if that's how you're doing it, how is it not those top 4 going every year? I don't. Not that Houston Academy's a bad team, and Faith Academy's had a lull over the past, few years.
Well, yeah,
Montgomery Catholic's decent.
That's the other thing too, is that so in 3A, so Glenwood was an AISA school up until the previous classification. So they've only been an AHSA school for 2 years. 9-1, 10-3 in 3A, won their region both years. Houston Academy, their last few years, 6-5, 13-2, 10-2, 10-1. And then Montgomery Catholic didn't lose a game for like 5 seasons up until this past year where their coach went to, I believe, Benjamin Russell.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It just, it seems weird, and I don't know. It's just weird because you got 16 there, and then you move down to single A, and you've got 29 teams, a little more evenly spaced out, but you still got Dothan teams in there with Mobile teams. So I don't know.
I feel really bad for Bayshore because they've had a program for what? I mean, it's basically brand new.
Right.
And you've got a Bayshore Christian going head-to-head with schools like Bayside Academy, who just, went all the way to the state title game, going head-to-head with Cottage Hill, who just had a really, really good season. Mobile Christian, I mean...
And again, look at the range in this region. So we have Bayshore, who was 2A last year. Bayside and Cottage Hill, 3A.
But two of the top teams in 3A.
Yeah.
Like Bayside, I think, were they going to jump?
I believe they were, yeah.
I thought Bayside was going to go up to 5A.
I think they were. No, 4A.
Oh, yeah, they were. They were going to go up to 4A.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a really talented team there. And then you got Mobile Christian, who's jumped back and forth between 3A and 4A.
But it was 4A playoff
4A
team last year. Yeah. And then Northside and Providence, who Northside was 3A, Providence was 2A, and St. Luke's was 2A. So these are a little bit closer, but again, St. Luke's won 2 or 3 games last year. You know what I mean? Bayside went to the 3A state championship. The Providence has been like a 9-win team in 2A. Northside hasn't won a game in 2 seasons in 3A. Like, this is just the competitiveness of some of these teams. It's just not even there.
Yeah, I don't. And them doing away with are they saying now that it's like your class is based strictly on
enrollment? I think
enrollment now.
Yeah.
I mean, let's for example, Bayside Academy volleyball, McGill-Tulane girls volleyball. They're never not going to win like in this classification. Like it's just I don't.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I don't even know how is volleyball laid out. So volleyball. Okay, so see, they did an area split for volleyball. So it looks like single A private volleyball is Bayshore, Bayside, Cottage Hill, Mobile Christian, St. Luke's.
Okay.
For double A, what? Okay. Let's see. For the double A private and volleyball, also did an area split, so it'll be Faith, McGill, St. Michael, St. Paul, UMS.
Okay.
So, but again, down here in volleyball, so Area 1, Faith, McGill, St. Michael, St. Paul, UMS. Area 2, Glenwood, Houston Academy, Montgomery Catholic. Mm-hmm. But then they put Lee Scott Academy in there. And in football, Lee Scott has to be the one team that travels all the way to Huntsville to take on their private schools. So,
oh my goodness,
I don't know. I don't know. It's weird.
This whole thing is just still a lot that we don't understand. Obviously, a lot of questions that we'd still like to see answered. I think that hopefully we'll get some more answers over the coming days and kind of get a better feel for like why and why now. I don't get it. I really don't. But I've obviously only been covering down here for 4 years now, and I've only know the history of some places based on like when we were preparing for another game. Like so much changes year to year. Mm-hmm. I mean, with coaches and players and all these things, and it just seems. I just don't know. I don't understand how this was what was better for the kids.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
Yeah.
Because I can't understand why a school that was classified as 2A going head to head with the school that was a 6A team, how that is fair.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
It's two completely different size of kids, level of kids. Like, I mean, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I don't have answers. I just have opinions. And so, I mean.
And by the way, like, Houston Academy this past season, did they play hang on. Yeah. They played Bayside in round 1 of the playoffs and got beat 46-7 but they will be a double A team and Bayside will be a single A team.
Yeah, I don't. That is another thing, and I love our Bayside people, really, really do.
Oh yeah, they're some of our biggest fans. We love Bayside,
but I am absolutely shocked that Bayside is in single A and not in double A with the other guys. But then again, like,
but if they're just going off of enrollment now, that's how that happens.
Yeah, so I get that. But my thing is, like, Bayside gets a leg up by being in this region. If you put them in the other region, maybe they're one of the lower teams in that region. So Bayside, it was either like you were really going to win or you're really going to lose, and it's not fair.
Well, that's the thing. I'd also, we need to read more about the issue with the competitive multiplier, because I think that's what would even some of this stuff out. That's why Bayside and Houston Academy were 3A teams, and Mobile Christian was a 4A team. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, again, you've got a team that got handled by a school that is now a classification below them.
Yeah, I don't understand it. It'll be interesting to see what comes of the private school coaches getting together on Friday and kind of what comes out of that, how that goes. Yeah, I'm interested to know more. We're interested to know what y'all's opinions are on this, because, like, there's a lot of people that have opinions that don't know football, and there's a lot of people that have opinions that know football really well, and, like, we're open to listening and seeing your reaction to all of it. Like, I'm curious how players feel. I'm curious how parents feel. I'm curious how coaches feel. I mean, this is just a crazy time in Alabama high school athletics in general, not just football, but in general. Because I mean, like I said, talking about the travel, like, softball and baseball, like, they typically play 3-game series, and you're going to have to travel 4 hours to play a 3-game series. Like, some of them are playing double headers. Like, buckle up, parents. I feel really, sorry for some of the parents. And some of the parents that, a lot of parents don't have the luxury of getting off in time to make it to a game. Right. Like, making it to a game here. Some parents are not going to have the chance to make it to a game that's 4 hours away.
Yep.
And it just it makes things a lot harder. It really does make things a lot harder. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how this all plays out over the coming days.
Quickly, do you want to run through the public school ones real quick? These are a little more straightforward.
Not a whole lot of change. I know Satsuma made a move. But if you want to start from the top, okay. So obviously they did away with 7A,
and 7A is now 6A.
Yes,
and our 7A Region 1 is now 6A Region 1, and it is the exact same.
Yeah, no change.
It's Alma Bryant, Baker, Daphne, Davidson, Fairhope, Foley, MGM, and Robertsdale. So
so no change there. I imagine that none of them are too
right.
Too angry.
5A Region 1, which was 6A Region 1, is now Baldwin County, Alberta, who technically moves up a classification, Gulf Shores, Blount, Murphy, Saraland, Spanish Fort, Theodore. So this is basically the same region minus McGill and St. Paul's, with the addition of Alberta, who could barely win a game as a 5A team and is now going to be in what was the hardest region in football. I think may still be even without McGill and St. Paul's.
Oh yeah, I mean, did Alberta win a game last year? Did they win one?
I think they may. Actually, I don't know.
If they did win, I think they won maybe one.
I think it was against. Let me see here. No, they did not win a game.
Okay, see, Alberta did not win a game, and now they have to go head-to-head with teams like Gulf Shores, Saraland, Spanish Fort, Theodore.
Yeah.
Blount. I mean, it's
tough.
Yeah, that I don't understand. That one, that's a tough one for me. Go ahead. You want to get to 4A?
Yeah. So 4A, which was, again, technically 5A last year. This is going to be BC Rain, Citronelle, LaFleur, Orange Beach, who is moving up from...
They were technically 4A.
They were technically 4A last year, but now they're 4A this year, which was 5A. Satsuma, Viger, Williamson. Satsuma also moves up.
Yeah, and that's interesting too.
Yeah.
Bless them. Honestly, bless them.
But I think and this region loses UMS.
Yes.
So
you're not getting that, like, a game that everyone loved and really looked forward to was the UMS Viger game. And I hate that, like, potentially, I mean, unless they schedule it as like a non-region, like, that's another thing I want to know. How is scheduling going to work? And how will they dictate, like, because there's been times in the past where we get into the postseason, there's these tiebreaker situations. Like, is that going to change how this works, how you're classifying a private school that you put on your schedule versus a public school you put on your schedule? That's another element to this that's going to be interesting. Yep. It's also going to be hard for me to try and get used to the fact that, okay, 7A is 6A, 6A is 5A, that's 5A right. is 4. Like, that's going to be another thing.
Yeah, we really just have to kind of just, like, tweak, how we how we look at it. But I think the biggest thing is Satsuma and Orange Beach technically move up a classification. So, there's
now 3A is one that is interesting to me. I'm happy that WS Neal and TR Miller will be back in the same region, so it's a rivalry that has postseason implications. So I'm excited that the Battle of Murder Creek is back in the same region, but also Jackson being in 3A.
Well, so Jackson technically doesn't move, right?
No, but it's just like putting all these teams together is like, because, I mean, you've got, like, Excel and Flomaton and TR Miller, like, playing against teams like Jackson that just won the 4A state title. Like, that's just – this one is interesting to me as well.
Yeah, so this is 3A, which would have been 4A last year. Escambia County, Excel, Flomaton, who moves up, Jackson, Opp, which Opp was a They were a 4A team last year, so they just move regions. They don't move classifications. TR Miller, who moves up into this region. Wilcox Central, who was they were a 3A team last year, so they technically move up a class. And WS Neal, who was in this region last year.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, WS Neal and Jackson could easily run this class.
Yeah,
I mean,
and TR Miller.
TR Miller too, but definitely Jackson and WS Neal.
Yeah, and just looking at the teams that they added, Wilcox as a... Is this the right Wilcox? Whew, yeah. Wilcox the last handful of years. In 3A, 0-10, 1-9. In 4A, 2-8, 1-8, 1-9, and they didn't even have a team in 2020. So they're in trouble.
They're gonna hate this.
Opp the last few years, 9-2, 7-4, 4-7, 8-3, 9-3, 8-4, and I believe somebody played them. Yeah, they beat. They lost to WS Neal in round 1 last year. So Opp is pretty good. They're not bad.
Yeah, they're not there to be a pushover in this region.
So
2A.
Yeah, 2A, which I guess
is 2A the same. Like, that's the thing that gets weird.
Well, 2A, no. So this is the thing. 2A is Chickasaw, Clark County, Hillcrest, Evergreen, JU Blackshear, Laverne, Monroe County, and Thomasville. Technically, Chickasaw, Clark County, and JU Blackshear move up a classification because this would have been 3A last year.
Chickasaw was a 2A school.
Right.
Clark County was a 2A school.
No, I know. I'm saying 2A would have been 3A last year.
Okay.
Just like how, like, 3A with Jackson now
was last year's 4A.
2A is last year's 3A.
Okay. So these schools technically moved up?
Yeah. Because Hillcrest was 3A. Laverne, I believe...
Thomasville was 3A, were they
Thomasville was 3A. Laverne was 2A. They moved up.
See, this is where it gets confusing for me because it's like, okay, then you go down to 1A. Is 1A the old A?
I think at these lower tiers, it's probably not as...
drastic of a change.
Yeah, or just not as obvious because, like 6A Region 1 this year is identical to 7A Region 1 last year. And same with 5A Region 1 compared to last year's 6A Region 1. Like those are identical.
Yeah.
I think once you get down to these lower tiers, they kind of just sort of muddied 1A and 2A kind of together a little bit. But anyway, Chickasaw, Clark County, Hillcrest, Evergreen, JU Blackshear. Moving to Region 1, Laverne and Thomasville, and then Monroe County. Laverne, the last couple seasons, 12-1, 6-6, 7-4, 6-5, 9-2. So they that's a good team to add. And then Thomasville is Thomasville. They're always good. 6-5, 11-1, 10-2, 9-4. So that's a good region. That's a pretty good region.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of excited for Region 1, too, because I think you and I talked about this. Choctaw County and Southern Choctaw High School, like, that's a rivalry. And because them being in the same region and them being a rivalry, I think that's going to be a really good game for us to see in 1A Region 1.
Yeah, so Region 1, 1A is Choctaw County joining Region 1 and Southern Choctaw, like you mentioned. Mm-hmm. And then Fruitdale, Leroy, Marengo, McIntosh, Millry, and Washington County.
So Washington County went down.
Technically moved down one.
Okay.
Sweetwater moves back to Region 3. JF Shields moves to Region 3. Region 1 and 2, or 1A and 2A in Region 1 are very good, I think. Those are good regions.
Yeah.
So
I think this is going to be a good opportunity for Leroy.
Yes, and we will be doing deep dives on all these regions to try and figure out, our preseason predictions and things like that. So we will have plenty of time to dig more into that stuff. But that is how they are set as of now.
Also, our coverage plans, like having to work with our sister stations up in Montgomery and Decatur and Columbus, like we're all going to be. This might be a weekly thing where we're all having to swap highlights. Right. Like it won't just be because on Friday nights there's no way that we can get to Columbus or Montgomery or Decatur. It's just ideally like that does not work. And not that when the HSA was thinking about their plans that they were considering how their kids, how these high school kids were going to be covered by local media, but it's definitely a new hurdle for us to have to overcome, and we will.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. And like we said, next week we'll do a little bit more of a background on this reclassification and how we got to this split. But yeah, so you've got a Senior Bowl practice you got to get to.
I do. It's time to go cover the American team, and then Kaylin DeBoer is going to be speaking tonight. So I'll have more on this later this evening. All good things Senior Bowl, but we'll have more on this next week. We'll definitely come back to y'all with how this meeting goes on Friday. So this is going to be, a thing that we'll be talking about for weeks to come going into the season. I mean, this is an unprecedented time in high school athletics. We're going to be bringing you the best. We're going to be telling you what we know. We'll tell you what we don't know because there's plenty that we don't know. But again,
we'll be right here covering it all.
Yeah. Thank y'all so much for listening to us every week. Again, a great banquet.
Yep.
Happy that we got to kind of put a cap on the 2025 season that way, and now we're excited to jump into all the chaos that is going to be 2026. Sure to be a roller coaster with lots of twists and turns. Yep. We'll be talking more about that next week. So thank you all so much for listening. I'm Emily Cochran. He's Robert Rastanio. We'll see y'all next week.